Hi folks, it's Monday. It's time for Monday Motivation. And like I've been doing for the last few videos, I just wanted to start with a check-in. How you doing? How was this last week for you? What were some things that you found challenging? And what were some things that brought you joy, or that you savored, or that were exciting, or that you were glad that it happened to you, or that you were grateful for? As always, tell us in the old comments below, And like and subscribe if you're feeling up to it. Also, my week was much better this week, actually. I felt like I was a bit more productive. I felt like I could concentrate a bit more. So I felt a bit better about this past week, which was good because not this last week, but the week before, I really struggled, and I briefly mentioned it in a video. But I want to dive a little bit deeper into it because I learned a really important lesson this past week while addressing that, and also during therapy. So here we go. I want to share those things with you. So 2 weeks ago, I was feeling super anxious, and anxiety for me looked like this. Every day I would wake up feeling like there was an urgency to do a million things, and I would get all the work done that I needed to get for work that I get paid for, but work was a little light the 2 weeks ago. So I was like, okay, use this time to do all these other things, like some other things that I'm working on behind the scenes, and clean my house, and just little life things, that you're supposed to be doing, but I just couldn't do them. The weight of all of those things and the free time and not knowing what to do and how to do it, it was paralyzing. And so I was just constantly anxious. And what that feels like to me is my stomach feels like it's in knots, and I'm constantly just trying to figure out what do I do next? Then I'll start something and I can't concentrate and I can't do it. So try to do something else, and then that doesn't work. So I was feeling triggered the entire week, and I just couldn't get a handle on it. And then on top of that, I was beating myself up at the end of the day going, you did nothing today. You literally looked at your phone, you started a million tasks, and you couldn't finish any of them. What are you doing? And then my brain instantly goes to all the times that I failed throughout my life. I just relive them over and over and over again. So the anxiety and the stress just continues and continues and continues. So I had a session with my therapist, and we were talking about this, and we talked about a bunch of stuff in my life where I feel like I've failed, and I'm afraid of failure, and I'm also afraid of fear and so many things. And more specifically, though, I was trying to figure out how do I be more gentle with myself, and how do I deal with these things? Because 2 weeks ago I couldn't concentrate, and that was okay. And I should have just, what would have been helpful for me, and what I learned, is that I needed to slow down. And I was trying those things that my therapist had taught me about, meditation and trying to get centered, but I was just so triggered that I couldn't do any of those things. So during my session, I said, I was like, listen, I want to figure out how to not beat myself up so much when I feel like I can't get things done. So we talked about, working on naming the emotions, and then using meditation, which I tried, but it wasn't really working. I couldn't focus or get centered the way that I normally do. So it's I need to pivot and figure out a new way to help me deal with these things. And so we started to do a meditation together with my therapist, and she had me close my eyes, and one of the first things that she does is she helps me ground myself, so physically in my body, of feel the space, feel the cushion under my body, and then she said, feel your feet on the ground and the tops of your legs. And I was like, and as she kept going, and I kept my eyes closed the whole time, but as she kept going, I thought, well, that was weird. We would see, she's been my therapist for 2 years. She knows I don't have any legs. So we finish, I open my eyes, and she's like, so how do you feel? And I was like, well, I feel a little bit better, but I still feel a little anxious. And she's like, okay. So we started to move on, and work on some things. And she stopped, and she was like, sorry, I just want to stop and go back to what I said while we were meditating, and I just wanted to see how you're feeling. And I was like, oh, the comment about my feet and my legs, I was like, it was kind of weird, but people make mistakes, so it's fine. And she was like, okay, well, I just I want to apologize. And I was like, yeah, thank you, that's fine. And so we continued to move on, and then she stopped again. She was like, sorry, I just want to go back to this one more time. Is that actually how you felt? And is there anything else that you want to say? I was like, actually, yeah, I do have some more things to say about it. I actually felt angry, disappointed, and annoyed that happened. And then there was a part of me that was like, I totally get it. Like, people make mistakes. It's like, that happens. And there's another part of me that was like, oh my gosh, I don't want you to feel bad, because like, we're all learning and we're all trying to figure it out. And again, people make mistakes. And I was like, so that's actually how I felt. And she paused and she said, well, thank you. And I just want to apologize again. But she was like, what you just did for me was that you expressed your feelings, you named them, and then you were really lovely at comforting me, so I didn't feel awful or feel terrible afterwards. I felt like it was okay, that we made a mistake, we talked about it, and we can move on. She was like, you can do that so well for everyone else. If you can do that for them, you can also do it for yourself. And I was like, damn! And then I was like, wait a minute. Did you say those things on purpose? And she laughed and was like, no, I didn't say them on purpose. I wish that I could say that I did, but that was like a genuine mistake. So the reason I bring this up is it's not about my anxiety. It's about how often in our lives do we not actually say the real things that we're thinking? Because maybe it's not the right time, or because you don't know how to say it constructively, or maybe this person doesn't take that kind of like language or being confronted like that well, or you don't want to make someone feel bad. We can come up with a million reasons why we don't say the real things. But what I learned in this last session is that it's important to say the real things. Now let me put a caveat here, and that's important to say them constructively. So I could have just went at her and be like, you're so stupid, and like, I'm so angry that you pretend that you said that I had legs and I don't, and like, we've been, seeing each other for 2 years now, and you know this, and how could you make this mistake? But that's not going to be helpful. So instead, I just named my emotions. And I said, I was angry, I was disappointed, and I was annoyed. But then I also recognized that people make mistakes, and I actually don't want you to feel bad. All of us being inside or, physically distancing, it's forcing a lot of us to really focus on our emotions. And I think what would be really good for all of us for this week, if we can, is to focus on what are sometimes the things that I'm not saying that I actually want to say, that will make you feel better and that will potentially make the other person feel better, instead of just like leaving it alone. I know emotions are scary, and I know trying to address stuff can be scary, and learning how to do it constructively. And listen, we're gonna make some mistakes. But I thought this was a really important life lesson for myself, and I wanted to share it with all of you, is that what I'm going to start doing to the best of my ability in small ways is to start sharing how I'm actually feeling, instead of just breezing past like, oh, it's fine. Sometimes it's not fine. And sometimes you actually have to say the things. And then you have this beautiful dialogue, and then the relationship with whoever you're having this conversation with, my gut says, will deepen and will blossom and will get even better, because you can trust each other enough to say how you're really feeling in a way that is supportive, but also that you're being heard and being listened to at the same time. So today's Monday motivation is, let's start working on saying the real things in a constructive way to help not only ourselves, but the people around us. All right, folks. That's it. I hope you have a great week. As always, you're my new best friend. Call me every 5 minutes, and I'm sending you love and light. That's it.